All right, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're basically putting on our digital hard hats because we're going to walk through how to build a high-performance data lakehouse using a really cool tool called Dremio. Think of this as the builder's guide for getting all your scattered data under one roof and making it seriously fast.
So first things first, let's talk about the problem we're actually trying to solve here. Does this picture look familiar? You've got some really important data over in Postgres. You've got these massive data sets just sitting in S3, and then your application data is in something like MongoDB. They're all in their own little worlds, their own silos, and trying to get them to talk to each other is, well, it's a huge pain.
So, here's our mission for today. We're going to lay out the blueprint for building a solution to that problem, a universal query engine that can bring all those different sources together. And the best part, we're going to do it without having to move a single byte of data around.
Okay, so for the first part of our build, let's really get to the heart of the challenge. We're trying to solve a data maze, and we need a guide to get us through it.
You know, this is probably the best analogy I've heard for what Dremio does. It's not another database you have to copy data into. Instead, it's like a universal data librarian. It doesn't care where the books, your data, are located. It just creates this single, incredibly fast card catalog that lets you find and access anything you need instantly.
And this librarian has some pretty serious tools in its belt. It gives you a unified semantic layer, so everyone in the company is speaking the same language about the data. It's built on Apache Arrow, which is just a fancy way of saying it's designed from the ground up for ridiculous speed. And crucially, it does data virtualization. That means no more painful, slow ETL jobs. And finally, it has this amazing feature called reflections. We'll get into that, but it's the secret sauce for its performance.
Okay, you can't build anything without a solid blueprint. So let's pop the hood and take a look at how Dremio is actually put together. We're going to look at both the brains and the muscle of the operation.
At its heart, the architecture is actually really elegant and simple. It's split into two main roles. You've got your coordinator nodes. Those are the brains. They're the project managers. They take your query, figure out the smartest way to run it, and handle all the metadata. And then you have the executor nodes. That's the muscle. They do all the heavy lifting of actually going out, reading the data, and processing it.
And you can see that clear division of labor right here. The coordinator is the planner, handling everything from the user interface to optimizing the query. The executor is the workhorse. It just takes orders and goes out and reads data from S3 or Postgres or wherever. The really cool part is that you can scale the muscle independently. Need more power? You just add more executor nodes. It's that simple.
So, we've got the blueprint. Now we come to the first big decision every builder faces. Are we just building a quick prototype, a model, or are we building a rock-solid foundation that's meant for production? Let's say you've got a simple, standalone version of Dremio working on your machine. It's awesome, but how do you take that proof of concept and turn it into something that's truly resilient, that's fault-tolerant, and that's ready for the demands of a real company? Well, there are two paths you can take. The standalone path is fantastic for testing and development, but it has a huge weakness. It uses an embedded database and has a single coordinator, which means it has a single point of failure. If that one thing goes down, the whole system goes down. For production, you must take the high availability path. This means you use an external database like Postgres for your metadata, and you run at least 3 coordinator nodes. They're managed by something called Zookeeper, which basically makes sure that if one coordinator fails, another one just picks up the slack seamlessly. No single point of failure.
Okay, our foundation is solid. It's ready for production. Now let's get to the fun part, adding the turbochargers. Let's talk about Dremio's secret weapon for making queries ridiculously fast. It's a feature called reflections.
We've all been there, right? You're running a query against a massive data lake, and you go make a coffee, come back, check your email, and it's still running. It's a huge problem. Dremio's solution is reflections, and they are designed to turn that coffee break query into a split-second query. So what exactly are reflections? Well, you can think of them like materialized views, but way, way smarter. A reflection is basically an optimized, pre-computed copy of your data. It might be sorted, partitioned, or aggregated in a special way. It's a physical thing that Dremio creates and manages behind the scenes, purely for speed. And here's where the magic is. Dremio is smart. It actually watches the types of queries your users are running. Based on those common patterns, it will automatically create and maintain these reflections for you. So the next time a user runs a similar query, Dremio just transparently rewrites it to hit the super fast reflection instead of the slow, raw data. The user doesn't change a thing. Their query just comes back in seconds instead of minutes. Now, you've got two main types of reflections in your toolbox. Raw reflections are your workhorse for speeding up queries that just need to filter and scan giant tables. But aggregation reflections, they are the secret sauce for your BI dashboards. They pre-calculate things like your daily sales totals, so when your boss opens that Power BI report, the numbers are just there, instantly.
So our Lakehouse is built, it's strong, and it is blazing fast. But you know what? None of that matters if it isn't secure. So for our final construction step, we have to add the locks, the alarms, and the security guards.
The easiest way to think about security in Dremio is to just ask three simple questions. First is authentication. Who are you? This is where Dremio connects to your existing systems like LDAP. Second is authorization. Okay, now that we know who you are, what data are you actually allowed to see? That's handled with role-based access control. And finally, data protection. Even within the data you can see, are there specific columns that should be hidden? And that's where column masking comes into play.
Let's look at a quick example of how that authorization works. With role-based access control, or RBAC, you can get super specific. We could create a role for our analysts that only gives them select privileges on one specific S3 bucket inside one specific area or space. This is exactly how you make sure the right people see the right data and nothing more.
Now, let's talk about protecting that really sensitive data. So imagine this is a table in one of your source systems. It's got personal information, right? You've got the customer's full email address, and you have their payment details. You want an analyst to be able to count orders, but you absolutely cannot let them see this sensitive info.
And this is the power of column masking. By applying a simple rule inside Dremio, anyone who queries that table now sees this version instead. The email is partially hidden, and the payment details are completely blacked out. And the most important part is that the original data is never ever touched. This masking happens completely on the fly as the query is running.
So let's wrap this up. Our data lakehouse is built. Here's your builder summary, the 4 key takeaways. Number 1, always start with a high availability architecture for production. Number 2, use reflections. Seriously, they are your best friend for performance. 3, lock it all down with strong access control from day 1. And 4, keep an eye on things. Monitor your queries so you can keep everything running smoothly.
You know, we've spent this whole time talking about the how you build this system. But the most exciting part is always the what. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What incredible things could you build? What new insights could you find if every single piece of your data was just one simple query away?
Thanks for joining us on this build. We'll see you in the next one.